me to guide you through a bone-chilling journey that began with a single swipe on a dating app, forever altering my perception of online connections. From being offered $100 to play a prank that was horribly wrong, to flirty conversations that turned horrific, I bring to you the horrific Tinder matches gone horribly wrong. The catfish abduction. Marissa was a 23-year-old graduate student living in a small college town. After a recent breakup, she decided to give Tinder a try to get back into the dating scene. One night, a profile caught her attention. 25-year-old Luke. His picture showed a handsome, athletic guy with a bright smile that made him seem friendly and approachable. After a few days of casual messaging, Luke suggested meeting up that weekend when he would have his apartment to himself. When Luke asked where Marissa lived, alarm bells immediately went off in her mind, but she brushed her doubts aside, assuming she was just being paranoid. They exchanged numbers, and the conversation quickly turned flirty. That Saturday evening, Marissa set off full of excited nerves to the address Luke had given her. As she approached the block, she slowed, confusion setting in. The house sat dark, with two unfamiliar vehicles parked in the driveway. This didn't match Luke's story at all. Unease growing, Marissa texted Luke that she had arrived early and would wait for his signal. She began walking slowly away when sudden headlights flooded the street. A white van with the lights off turned onto the road, rolling to a stop a few houses down. The driver killed the engine, and silence engulfed the neighborhood. Adrenaline spiking, Marissa sprinted to the nearest yard, hiding in the shadows. Moments later, her phone dinged with a message from Luke. "Come to the house. I'm ready." Marissa fled. Her worst fears were confirmed. She had almost walked into a predator's trap. She quickly reported the fake profile to Tinder before blocking Luke's number, grateful she had listened to her instincts. Before we move further, please subscribe to our channel, Top Scares, where we tell scary and horror stories. If you are brave enough, don't forget to click on the like button and comment. Let us know what you think about these stories. The Dark Chase. One ominous night, I matched with a mysterious individual on Tinder. Their profile was a masterful display of charm, with photos that showcased a captivating smile and a bio filled with clever humor. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, creating a connection that seemed to transcend the digital world. Little did I know that behind this charming facade lay a sinister plan. They suggested a first date that was far from ordinary, an encounter at a secluded abandoned cabin deep within the eerie woods. My instincts raised alarms, but the allure of adventure proved too enticing, and I reluctantly agreed. Arriving at the cabin on a moonless night, a sense of foreboding enveloped me. The cabin was hidden far from civilization, and its isolation was palpable. The darkness seemed to swallow me whole, and I couldn't help but question the wisdom of my decision. Stepping into the cabin, I was met with a scene that intensified my unease. The interior was adorned with unsettling relics, and the walls bore cryptic symbols that seemed to writhe in the flickering candlelight, as if they held ancient secrets and dark rituals. The cabin's eerie atmosphere gripped my very soul, and I couldn't shake the feeling that malevolent eyes watched my every move. A chilling presence seemed to lurk in the shadows, a presence that sent shivers down my spine. Panic surged as I realized the perilous trap I had unwittingly walked into. I was isolated in the woods with a stranger who harbored sinister motives, and I was cut off from the safety of the outside world. Desperation took hold as I grappled with the gravity of my situation. I reached for my phone, hoping to call for help, but my hopes were swiftly dashed. There was no signal, and the cabin's isolation had severed my connection to the world. I was alone, deep in the woods, with no means of communication. With a growing sense of dread, I knew I had to find an escape route before it was too late. The cabin seemed to defy logic, its layout shifting and morphing, with hidden passages appearing as if they were gateways to a nightmare. I felt ensnared in a sinister maze. My breath was quick and shallow, and with time running out, my only chance of survival lay in finding a way out before it was too late. In my frantic search, I stumbled upon a hidden chamber within the cabin. The room was filled with an unsettling assortment of ancient mystical artifacts, each radiating an otherworldly power. Amid these artifacts, I discovered a mysterious amulet, its surface etched with enigmatic runes and symbols that pulsed with eerie energy. With trembling hands, I seized the amulet, and an overwhelming surge of power coursed through me. The amulet seemed to repel the malevolent forces that had ensnared me, creating a protective barrier that kept the darkness at bay. The cabin fell into a chilling silence, and I seized the opportunity to flee, clutching the amulet that had become my lifeline. I deleted my Tinder app, vowing never to trust a digital profile again, for it had led me into a perilous game where the stakes were my very life. As I retreated from the cabin in the woods, the haunting memories of that ill-fated Tinder encounter would forever haunt me, serving as a stark reminder that the digital world could lead to horrors beyond imagination. The line between connection and catastrophe was a treacherous one. The park predators. Alicia was a random girl, constantly struggling to make ends meet. So when she came across a strange Tinder profile one night offering to pay for help playing a prank on some guy, her interest piqued. The job is to kick a man named David in the groin while he is being recorded. The pay is $100. It seemed simple enough. The person coordinating the attack was Chelsea David's pissed-off ex-girlfriend. Chelsea claimed it was payback for David, cheating on her, while Alicia thought the whole thing seemed excessive. A $100 was a $100. They agreed to meet at 10 p.m. the next night, and when Alicia arrived at the location, it was a dilapidated shed behind an abandoned house. It was immediately obvious something wasn't right. The space was littered with old furniture and tools strewn about haphazardly. In the corner was a grimy mattress laid out on the concrete floor. No filming equipment was set up, and there was no sign of David or Chelsea before Alicia could react. A scrawny, unkempt man emerged from the shadows. Alarm bells blared in Alicia's mind. She needed to get out of there, but she had to get paid first. Trying to hide her unease, she asked for the money. The man silently handed her $100 and gestured for her to wait. As Alicia's panic rose, she noticed a phone set up nearby for recording. Had she just been lured into some kind of snuff film fantasy? She didn't wait to find out. Clutching the cash, she sprinted from that nightmarish shed and vowing to never ignore warning signs again. She had escaped danger, but only by the skin of her teeth. The midnight chase. 18 years old, Jeremy also ventured into online dating, but she soon learned that lesson the hard way when he nearly found himself on the receiving end of a midnight chase from an online imposter. To Jeremy, it had seemed innocent enough. He was home on summer break after finishing his freshman year of college when he came across a familiar face on Tinder. Audrey, a girl from his high school class. They struck up a conversation and soon made plans to meet up later that night at an empty parking lot near Jeremy's neighborhood. Jeremy arrived first, parking beneath one of the bright overhead lamps. He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel as he watched the minutes tick by past their meeting time. Finally, a pair of headlights cut through the darkness as another car pulled up. Jeremy stepped out, squinting at the unfamiliar vehicle, a small sedan. That's not Audrey's car, he thought. Unease prickling his skin, the other car's engine shut off, and the lights went out, leaving Jeremy blinking spots in his vision. The driver's side door creaked open, and for a heart-stopping moment, all Jeremy could discern was a looming shadow. Before he could react, the shadow drew closer, and Jeremy found himself sprinting through the parking lot with the driver giving him a chase. Jeremy scrambled to his car and locked the doors, breathless, as the driver pounded angrily on his window before giving up and returning to their vehicle. Jeremy peeled out of the parking lot, his hands shaking as he drove. When he arrived home, he had a DM waiting for Audrey. The real Audrey. Someone had been using her pictures to catfish people. Jeremy felt lucky to have escaped unharmed as the reality sank in that sometimes danger wears a familiar face, hiding in plain sight online. But not everyone escapes with their heads on when it comes to dating online. The balcony murder. Gable was fascinated by Warina the moment he spotted her profile on Tinder, with her long, dark hair and olive skin. A freelance photographer by profession, her photos displayed an alluring girl-next-door beauty. After a few flirty conversations through text, they planned their first date drinks at a lively restaurant downtown. The alcohol flowed freely, and the pair hit it off immediately. When Warina ended up going back to Gable's high-rise apartment as the night wore on, she thought she was getting lucky by meeting such an attractive, charismatic guy. But her luck was about to take a deadly turn. In the dark hours of the early morning, after their tryst, the neighbors were awakened by the sounds of a violent argument spilling from Gable's apartment onto the balcony. The sounds of shouting soon turned to horrific screams. By the time the police arrived, it was too late. Warina was dead. Her broken body was lying on the pavement below Gable's 14th-story balcony. Questioned by detectives, Gable insisted Warina's plunge was an accident, that she had been trying to climb down to escape after their dispute turned physical. But the autopsy told a different story. The evidence pointed to Gable choking Warina unconscious before tossing her limp body over the railing. His camera equipment would reveal the chilling truth. In the last moments of her life, Gable had photographed his Tinder date, wanting to capture the moment just before taking it. If you are not scared of this video, you can check out the next one on your screen, The Disturbing True Neighbor Horror Stories. Go watch it now if you are brave enough.